Hi everybody, it's Julie.
Hey, this is JT.
And welcome back to the Talk of the Town podcast. This week we have on Morgan. She's the owner of On Violet, which is a boutique in the Freehold Raceway Mall. She's also opening up a second location in the Menlo Park Mall, so definitely check her out. We talk all things opening up a small business, what it's like to be a boutique owner in New Jersey, and also just fashion trends and how she got started.
Yeah, it was really cool hearing your story of starting online and growing into having your own store. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, this is a great episode to listen to. And if you're listening on Spotify, if you could give us a 5-star review, that would really help us out a lot. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. That really helps our views out a lot and helps us grow the podcast.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the episode.
All right, what's up? Welcome
Hi,
back.
Everyone. Hi. Welcome back to the Talk of the Town podcast. This is episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is it 9 or 8?
I think it's 9.
9.
We'll call it 9.
Today we have on Morgan, the owner of On Violet.
Hi, everybody.
So tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to high school, college? Like, where did it all begin?
So my name is Morgan. I'm 24 now. Born and raised in Central Jersey, which does exist, if anybody wants to argue that. I grew up in Howell, and our current storefront is in Freehold, New Jersey, so I'm town over now, and I'm pretty much living in Freehold. I went to high school at Howell High School, was a cheerleader there. I actually went to high school just for cheerleading. I got specific permission just to go to that high school, so that's a little bit how crazy I am when I'm dedicated to something. But I went to college at Hofstra University for about a month. Then I transferred, and I ended up going to Rutgers University instead. And when I was at Rutgers, that was kind of when I decided I wanted to switch up what I was doing. I was kind of following a pre-med route there. I just always was under the impression that I had to just do something in the medical field or law or working in an office. And it kind of took some time for me to realize, like, I have all these other passions. Why am I not utilizing them? So went through school at Rutgers, mostly online once COVID hit. And when COVID happened is kind of when I transitioned into, I want to start my own business. And that's where the boutique was really born.
Wow. That is like such a journey, like all in itself, just in a span of like a few years. How did you switch from just like having this path of going a more traditional route with like going to like possibly medical school to just being like, nope, I want to own a business? Like, I feel like those are two very different things.
So I think just growing up, I've always known that I wanted to be some sort of entrepreneur. I was one of those kids where it's like, even from the age of probably like 7 or 8, I was going around selling whatever I could. I'd be making bracelets, I'd be making shirts, anything I could possibly do, saying I started all these businesses. So by the age of like 12, I probably owned like 10 businesses, if we're being honest here. Don't even remember what they all were, but I just loved doing things like that. I knew I wanted to do something with fashion. I've always been fascinated with clothes and trends and just the different styles. But it's kind of just been stuck in my head growing up, not necessarily from my family, but just kind of from society in general. Like, no, you need a really good paying job. You need something that's going to always be growing. Fashion's not going to pay enough. It's always going to change. You're not going to like it when you're older. So it was a really scary thing to jump into.
Definitely.
I went back and forth. In high school, I was like, maybe I should apply to like FIDM or FIT and things like that. But then I fell in love with psychology. So I was like, maybe I should just become a psychiatrist or a psychologist, something like that. So I really went through almost all of college with that. I actually did get a bachelor's in psychology. I think it was around my junior or senior year. I was minoring in political science too, because I also do like politics, but that was also a whole nother thing that I don't think would have ever been like the right career for me. So eventually I ended up switching my minor to business administration. Pretty indecisive. I feel like I just always was switching things around, but I just feel like I get so passionate about so many things, and I feel like I could really see myself doing anything, but nothing was really the right fit for me. Until I eventually decided, I really do kind of thank COVID for the one good thing it brought me was the opportunity to start a business, because I was really stuck at home like everybody else was. And being a college student, like what kind of remote jobs were you really doing? It was really hard to find anything. So just staying at home. And then I saw other people, really thank you Tik Tok too, because I saw other people posting about like boutiques they started, how they started them. It was all over Instagram. So eventually I just decided, you know what, I think I could do it. Everybody else is trying it. Let's try it out. Wow. Literally just used TikTok as like a search engine, figuring out how to start a boutique, how to start a business, especially in New Jersey. Eventually started all of that stuff, ordered inventory online that I've never seen before. Didn't know how horrible the quality was going to be, how great. Kind of just tested it out. I learned through my mistakes, so I would order some things from certain vendors and never ordered from them again. Other things I still order from those vendors because I I trust in them so much now because I know their quality and I know how great they are as owners of their brands. So it's great to work with them. But I just started online. I did sales through Instagram. Then eventually when COVID started to die down a little bit, I was able to do little pop-up shops. Then eventually I've always had a dream of opening a store. So even when other stores were closing down, like half our fixtures are from a Lord & Taylor in this mall actually. I bought those like a year in advance and everybody thought I was crazy. They were like, what are you going to do with these fixtures? They sat in my garage for a year or so and then eventually the store was born.
That's amazing. So you did start online.
Yes.
So how long did you do that for?
So I did that for, I believe we started in May of 2020. I think I launched in about September of 2020, and then the store was born about a year later or so. So I did a lot of pop-up shops and stuff. One of the ones we did was the Monmouth County Fair. So if anybody's from the area, it's a really big county fair with a bunch of rides and stuff. And I never saw anybody do like a boutique kind of thing pop up there. So I did that. And then while I was there, it's in this town in Freehold. So I met a lot of great people and they would tell me like, oh, I hear that in this mall, it's been a little bit dead after COVID. So they're offering rent pretty cheap and they have some stores open. Why don't you just reach out and see what happens? I thought nothing would come of it. And then like probably a month after that, I had a store. So moved fast.
That's amazing. And how did you do most of your like marketing? Was it mostly Instagram or like how did people find you when you were
It was
online?
mostly all Instagram, honestly, and then word of mouth. I'm also a cheerleading coach, and the support that I've gotten through that program has been so amazing. When I first started out, they let me do, even if I wanted to do it like every Sunday, they're like, just put a little table or racks outside the gym, just do a little pop-up shop. And then that transformed into me literally taking over like half of the outside the gym every weekend and putting all these racks of clothes. So those families were supportive. I did more and more pop-up shops, just word of mouth through Instagram. And then eventually when we did more TikTok too, like when we opened up in the current location we're in, we even had a random TikTok kind of blow up. It's like a couple of tens of thousands of views, but it's all targeted to people in this area who are like my exact demographic. So it really helped us. So that really helps us. We've never really paid for marketing, I don't believe. I think I've hired somebody too before to do on our Instagram when we had this spot. And then before that, when I was starting out, I tried to pay for like Instagram and Facebook ads. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd pay like $15 for an ad. It did nothing. So for me, it was more of just like organic, like content that you're creating yourself and just being yourself. And that just works way better for us.
That's awesome. How was the support like from your parents? Did they think you were crazy? Were they not supportive at first? Like, how did you kind of push through that? Like if they weren't supportive, like, because I feel like that's a huge draw, especially when you're younger. Like, is my parents going to approve of this or do I have the support of my parents?
Yeah. I would say overall, they've both been so incredibly supportive. Everybody in my family really has been. They probably did think I was a little crazy at first, but nobody really said anything about it. Because when you're starting out, it was like I took over a little bit of a guest bedroom. I had a few racks of stuff. So they're like, okay, it doesn't hurt to sell a couple things on Instagram or to your friends. Then eventually as it grew, the storefront was a little bit scarier. My mom has always been my number one supporter. She goes on all these trips with me, all the trade show trips. She always comes with me. She's like my assistant buyer, basically. She's basically an assistant manager, even though she doesn't formally work for the store. People will come in, they'll be like, oh, are you the owner? And she's like, nope, it's my daughter, and she's just here to help out. She's just always around. My dad has been a great help too. He's more of like the realist, where he'll be like, are you sure you want to do a store? Are you gonna have health insurance one day? Like, he's like, are you gonna stick with this? Like every year he's like, okay, your lease is ending, you're gonna keep doing this? I'm like, yeah, I got this. So, but he's also very supportive. Everyone in my family really has been, and they buy from me like normal customers. I try to give them discounts. They're like, nope, we're gonna support you. We want to buy gifts. All the holiday gifts are always from On Violet, not even from me. My mom buys everything from here to gift to people. So I love their support.
That's great. That's amazing.
Probably speaks to your selection too.
Yeah.
So tell us like how you got the name On Violet. Like where did that stem from?
So this is a question we get a lot. People will come in the store. They're like, "Is your name Violet?" I'm like, nope. And they're like, "Where's Violet? She doesn't exist." On Violet, I actually thought about the name for a while because that's like one of the hardest things I think people don't talk about when starting a business is what are you going to call it, because that's going to last with you for so long. Unless you try to rebrand later down the line, it's a lot to try to change your name. So I thought about it a lot. I'm like, what's something catchy? But I also wanted to kind of like just represent something like what I wanted in this business and what I wanted our mission and our values to be. So I was kind of thinking about it. I'm obviously born and raised in Jersey, like I said, and I wanted something that was going to promote like female empowerment, but also just Jersey women. And when I think of Jersey women, I think of like strong, like they're always just wanting to push boundaries, start their own business, stuff like that. So it would inspire other girls to be like a strong Jersey woman. So researching the state of New Jersey a little bit, the state flower is a blue violet. So that's where I got the name Violet from, but I didn't want to just be like Violet Boutique. So going back to being a strong Jersey woman, I figured maybe like Violet can be kind of a saying. Like if you're on Violet, you're like a strong Jersey woman. Like people are going to think you're crazy, but you're out there doing these amazing things. So that's kind of where the name stems from. And I really like thinking back to our original core values, and we always want to continue that as we grow the brand.
That's so cool. I love that.
I feel like with boutiques, I mean, maybe it's because I'm a guy, but when I look in a boutique, I'm like, there's so many products.
Yes.
How do you like pick your products, but then also like keep everything within your kind of like brand identity? Because I feel like you probably want kind of like I feel like everything's cohesive, you know, there's like so many different things in here. How do you kind of curate your products like that?
Yeah, so when we started the store, I've known there's a lot of boutiques in New Jersey. I mean, that's no question about it. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. A lot of, not just boutiques, but like big box stores in the area or just other like chain stores, they all have the same kind of stuff. Not necessarily, but like the vibes are kind of the same. It's a lot of neutral, it's lots of basics, which we of course always need. But I wanted to do something different that you can't find just anywhere. And like when you're going on a trip or you have a special event and you want something different, or just in general like loungewear, sweats, things like that you're not going to find somewhere else, I wanted to really be that place that people could find. So just find something unique, but also something that's going to spark joy and make them feel happy about themselves and what they're wearing. So I originally started online just looking for those things. It was kind of hard though to go online and just find different brands and different styles, because you never know until you get it. And then a lot of times you can't really return the stuff, or if you do, you lose a lot of money on it. So I started traveling probably about a year into owning the boutique. Started traveling to different like markets, and that's where you would meet with the different vendors, and they have like these little showrooms or temporary booths, and that's kind of where you pick out the things. Now I actually go to an event called Magic Fashion Events, and I go there twice a year. We're actually going to Vegas next week. Super exciting. I'm bringing one of my employees for the first time. So we go around and we meet with our usual vendors, we meet new brands and just stuff like that. We look at their different samples, and we're able to pick like months ahead what we're ordering. So that is a little scary sometimes because you're picking so far in advance, and most of the time you can go back and cancel things. Some brands you can't, or sometimes it's just like you get so overwhelmed with everything at the store you forget what's coming in, and then it comes in, and sometimes I'm victim to this a lot. It'll come in, I'm like, what was I thinking? Some things are a little too risky sometimes, but other times like they come in, I forget I order it, and it's like Christmas morning, like opening it up, and people come in and they're like, this is crazy, like I've never seen something like this. I'm so excited to have it. So it's really fun to just kind of be the buyer and everything, just keep up to date on all the trends and pick out for the store. It is hard sometimes when you think you're going to be like original, or you try so hard on like certain designs, because we've even started doing some more of our own merch, so I kind of design all that myself too. So some of those things, they take like months to do, but I honestly think it's so worth it. Like those are some of our best sellers right now, like just our custom made sweatshirts. People really love those, and it really like embodies the whole brand and what we want it's my exact vision. So that's like my favorite part right now, is just designing our own things.
That's so cool. I know. I love all of your sweatshirts. I feel like
Thank you.
my coworker Lauren just always is repping all of
Yes, we love
all of your
Lauren.
sweatshirts. So that's awesome. Where do you find your inspiration from? I think, like you said, there's so many boutiques in New Jersey, and it would just be so easy to just do like a copycat version of any of them. And it's hard to stand out, and it's hard to be unique sometimes, and when you're consuming so much content and stuff. But like, where do you look to when you're kind of like, what do I want this season of clothes to look like at my store?
It's a lot of social media, honestly, like
Nice.
especially for this trip for Vegas next week. I've been doing a lot of studying. Sometimes I don't do as much. It's just like when I get there, I kind of know like, okay, I think a lot of people are wearing this. I think it's going to be a big trend.
Yeah.
But lately I've been actually doing a lot of research just between Pinterest, Instagram, and TikTok. TikTok, again, is just one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
But now I follow a lot of different like micro influencers and bigger influencers, but also just people who also study fashion or other things and trend predictions that they have. And then going back to like the trade shows, they have different panels and different education opportunities where they tell you like, these are going to be the colors this season, these are going to be the trends. And when you go into different booths, you kind of recognize, okay, another vendor had this kind of vibe to it too, so I really think it's going to be big this year.
Yeah.
I kind of have to trust in that. It gets a little scary sometimes because you just don't know. Some people might think something's going to come back, and then people don't want it. When it also depends on where you are. Because like I go a lot down south. I'll go to like Atlanta, or like I'm going to Vegas. I've been to Nashville, Texas. So when I'm going to places like that, the vibe is very different. They're like, here's some cowboy boots, here's like some fringe and stuff. So I might think it's really cute, but then I bring it here, and unless they're going on a trip to Nashville, they're like, what am I going to do with this? So I kind of have to trust in like my own opinion and what I know about growing up here and what my customers say. Because I also listen to the customers all the time. They'll come into the store looking for something. I'm like, at any point, if you have a request, let me know. It may be not super easy to fulfill it. I can't fulfill every single person's request, but if people are coming in and telling me what they want, then I can try to get that for them. I'm going to try my best to do exactly what the customer wants, because like it is about the customer too, and I know that I can trust in what they want, and I think it's going to be a big seller if a lot of people are requesting it. That's for sure.
So true. That's great. And I think like we've said this before, but like you have to get your inspiration from somewhere, and it might not be copying, but I mean you've said it better in the past, like how like everything comes from like something else that like, you've already seen, and like your ability to kind of put your own twist on it or present it in a certain way, and how you utilize Instagram and create like this persona of On Violet is like why you've found like so much success, and what like sets you apart from so many other boutiques, which is amazing. And I feel like we're all around the same age, so like our ability to use social media just comes so naturally, and that's why you probably have never had to hire someone to do social media. It's because you know how to do it, you know what people like, you consume the content, so that's awesome.
I also have to just like trust in what I like, because I've also been the kind of person who tries to cater to only other people's opinions. Like if we're out buying for a market, I'm like, okay, well sometimes I have like an older demographic or just like different kind of styles. I'm like, well, people might want this, so I kind of just buy it, and that stuff never sells. It's the stuff that I know that I'll like is usually what sells best, so that I just have to kind of trust in what I think, or I'll send in a group chat with my employees. I'm like, do you guys actually think this is cute? Be honest. And they'll be like, no, and then they were right. So I have to trust in myself and the other people who support this brand, and not just try to cater to everybody, because this store isn't going to be for everybody. Not every store is, so you just have to figure out what you think is going to be best, just like for you. Really trust in your own vision, and then it'll also fit within the brand better, because whenever I try to get things that I think are a little different but might sell, it doesn't fit within the brand, and then it sits in the store and doesn't match anyway. So like, why am I trying to do something that's not right for us anyway?
Right. Yeah, that's definitely like I think we can even speak to that ourselves, like creating content and stuff. Like you really have to create stuff that you like, because if you try to like create things that people are gonna like, it's always gonna be kind of like it's never gonna be like the best version of something, because you're always like trying to copy something. Or so if you can like always put your own twist on it and like really be true to like, do I like this? I think that's like always a great place to start.
Yeah. And what is like the biggest lesson that you've learned like up until this point in your business, whether it was like a financial mistake or just like, you know, in general, like in business, like what has been like a huge like teaching lesson for you?
I think overall it's a huge misconception that owning boutique is easy. A lot of people think that.
Very glamorized.
Yeah, because most people who own boutiques like either are content creators, or I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, I post about it too. When I go on these trips, I'm gonna post all about it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm in Vegas. Look how amazing this is. But like, social media obviously is not the truth of everything. It is so much harder, and honestly just like tolling of how hard it is to own just any business in general, but especially boutiques, just because I already deal with sometimes with like anxiety and stress, always have growing up. But it's really hard in the boutique industry. It's just so competitive. Comparing yourself to other people is just so difficult, because I'll just always be wondering, like, if I see somebody else selling something similar to me, I'm like, oh, now it's going to look like I copied or I'm not original. But it's always going to happen just with the trends. And then just other people will come in too. They'll come into my store. They're like, oh, I saw this at some other store and it was cheaper, or I like the other one better. And that just makes me feel bad about myself. But like, you can't take it personally. It's just business, and that's people's opinions. So you just have to learn not to just harbor on those negative thoughts all the time, because I've had to learn that lesson many, many times. So there are a lot of things in the boutique industry and just owning a boutique that have been really hard. Also financially, other mistakes that you have to just take the risk and you learn from those mistakes. But overall, I just really think you cannot compare yourself to other people. You just have to focus on yourself and your brand, and that's the only way you're going to grow. You just can't keep comparing yourself to other people.
It's a hard thing to overcome in business, because there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows. So you like, the highs are great, but then when you hit those lows, like, you really have to pull yourself out of them, because I mean, a lot of businesses fail or go under because of many reasons, but like the mental stress that owning a business has on you, you're always thinking about it. There's no like, okay, I'm gonna go to the store and then I'm gonna leave. It's like 24/7 you're thinking about, like, did I order that? Do I need to do this? I need to go pick this up, and it's never ending.
I think the worst thing, honestly, about having your own business, which you guys probably know, it's really hard to like hit that off button of when you're not working, because I'm not like, I don't put myself on the schedule and be like, okay, I'm only working today from 10 to 4 and then I'm done for the no, it doesn't work that way. I'll even, if I go to cheer practice after this, I'll be talking about the store, I'll be getting texts from the store, then I go home for the night, I'm like, maybe I should try ordering this, or I'm getting messages on Instagram and I don't want to leave them open, so I gotta answer. It's always, my boyfriend always yells at me for, he's like, you gotta learn to like find time for yourself, but like, it's like your baby, your business, so you just always want to be focused on it and what's best for it, that it's so hard to kind of just find time for yourself and not always be working.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about like, I mean, it sounds like you already told us like the decision to get a place in the mall here in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're opening up another location in Menlo Park, in the Menlo Park Mall.
Mm-hmm.
What was the decision like for going into another mall, like as opposed to getting a retail spot on Main Street somewhere?
So that's actually a funny one too, because everybody always asks like, "Oh, you must really like malls, like you just love being in malls." That's actually not the case at all. It's more of just it was the easiest, honestly, to get into a mall. Before I opened our first location in the Freehold Mall, I looked everywhere. I was driving up and down every summer, or not every summer. That one summer, I was kind of really looking. I would drive up and down the Jersey Shore for hours, like once or twice a week, and just find empty storefronts. I would email, I would call, and nobody would get back to me. I don't know if it was more because at the time I was like 21. Emailing them, being like, "Hey, I have this online boutique I want to open." They probably didn't trust me. They were probably like, "This girl's gonna fail. There's no way she's gonna have money for this." So it was probably just a little bit of that, and then other places. I think sometimes it's just hard to get in contact with different landlords and stuff, or they might have somebody else moving in because things just move so fast in this kind of industry. Yeah. So it's hard to find a spot. This mall I knew, so that was good that I already knew the kind of shopper because I was this kind of shopper. I grew up going to this mall. Like I said before, the rent was good after COVID. They had empty spots, and then you're just getting pretty much guaranteed foot traffic. So if you know that's your right demographic and location, then you're already going to get that foot traffic. So that's good. Then you could build a customer base because when you're a new store starting out, unless I was really big online, which I was pretty much brand new, I had maybe a couple hundred followers.
Okay.
You need to learn how to get those new customers. So it's good to start in a mall. We actually opened up a second location in the Jackson outlets the last holiday season, not the one that just passed, but like a little over a year ago. That one was one of those things where like you just take the risk, and we honestly failed, if we're being honest on it. Okay. It did okay. We just did a little holiday pop-up lease, but I did not do enough research about the area, and it was like 15 minutes from this one, so it was our same customer, and then they would go to that store, and there was more here, so why were they going to the other store? So that one was one of those ones where I just took the risk just to see what would happen, and I did not really do enough job, not like a good enough job of like research and all that. So I'm glad that I learned from that. The Menlo one was another one where it was a little bit last minute because with the malls, especially Menlo, a place like that, they have a lot of storefronts, but it's very rare that they're empty. And when they are, like, people grab them fast. Yeah. So we were kind of negotiating this lease again, just kind of figuring out if I'm renewing or not. And as I was waiting for that, I randomly got a call just a few weeks ago, actually. And he was like, "Hey, we just found out this morning Vera Bradley's closing our mall. Do you want the spot?" So I was like, not sure. It didn't really give me a lot of time. So later that night, me and my mom went to go look at the spot. And I was like, honestly, the vibe here, I just love it. There was just a feeling. I don't know what it was. There was some sort of feeling that I kind of got during Freehold too. I didn't want to get my hopes up because whenever I do, it ends up falling through. Like the space just not available or whatever it is. But I was like, let's just try it. Gave myself the weekend to think about it. I called him back. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's try it. So we're working on that now.
That's so
But
exciting.
I think that the ultimate goal is to open eventually in like a downtown area, a beach town. It's just hard because, again, like the boutique community and industry is so competitive and kind of oversaturated at times. So it's hard to find an area where there's not already 5 or 6 boutiques. And that to me was always like the thing that kind of held me back from going in certain towns. I didn't want to step on toes. I wanted to be my own original kind of store and brand. I didn't want to look like somebody else. Yeah. But as I'm going through this, I'm kind of like learning over the years, like nobody's going to be exactly like your brand. You have to make it your own brand. So no matter how similar somebody's going to be to you, they're not you. And you can make your own designs. You could do your own thing. Even just like if you put my store next to somebody else's and you copy and pasted the exact same thing, they're not the same thing because they're going to come in and meet me as an owner, my employees, and just kind of learn the brand vision and our values and everything, and you'll be your own brand. So you could still grow that way. So I'm hoping in the future we are able to find some new locations where we can keep growing and get our own individual spot. It is hard at the malls that like the landlords and management are not fun to deal with sometimes. And they're a lot stricter, obviously, on like your hours and stuff. Like we have to follow the mall hours. Otherwise you can get fined. They could cancel your lease, stuff like that. So it is really hard sometimes. This mall luckily is a little more lenient on it, but like the new location, they are very strict. Just like Jackson was for us, they will fine you if you close it all. So that's a little unfortunate, but hopefully in the future, if we find another spot, we'll be able to do our own thing. So like if I need to close early for an emergency, we'll be okay. And I can just tell my customers and everything will be okay. We can do more events in the store. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you have to like stay open for a certain amount of time too?
Yeah, you have to
Okay.
like follow the mall hours exactly, which honestly this
Oh,
mall really
okay.
doesn't do that much. Like I'll walk around the mall sometimes and half the stores are closed for like 5 hours at a time.
Okay.
It kind of just, I think because they know a lot of the businesses in this mall now are small businesses. So like they
Okay.
can only do so much. A lot of times if we only have one or two people working at a time or they have an emergency or they need a break, like what is the mall going to say about that? You kind of got to let them. But then when you're going to like a big box store, like if you're going to a department store, you have so many employees at a time, they have to stay open. So it's a little different.
Totally.
And is that your second location, or are you moving there?
So that's a hard question too, because that one, it changes like every day.
Gotcha.
So the goal has always been to have both locations at the same time. We don't want to leave our Freehold location. This is actually our third spot in the mall because with our short-term lease, they could kind of move us around a bit. If somebody else comes along and wants a permanent lease that pays a little bit more,
I see.
that's just kind of like the bad part of it. So it's good that small businesses are able to come into the mall and pay a better rent. But then there is that part where like if they want to kick you out, they could kind of just do that at any point. That's just the industry I've learned. It's not really personal. I did take it personal for a long time, but they're not bad people. They just have to do it. It's a big company that I'm working with. But we are trying to do both stores at the same time because I want to keep the brand growing. The rent at this location has been raising a lot, honestly. They raised our rent and the foot traffic has been down from previous years. So if sales are staying around the same or even lower in certain months, but the foot traffic's down and then you're raising my rent such a big amount, which they have, that to me, I find it like a little difficult to want to stay here when I know I can do so much bigger things in other locations. So I have been talking to them all and we're kind of negotiating because at first they were like, well, this is the rent. And I was like, okay, well then I guess I'm not gonna be able to do it. But now they're turning around and saying, okay, maybe we can negotiate with you because they also don't want to see us leave. So they're gonna try to work with us. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll know within the next few days or weeks that we will hopefully have both locations. If it ever turns out that we end up just having the one like at Menlo, we would love to come back to Freehold and do like pop-up shops, especially during the holidays, or maybe in a few months come back if a better spot opens up. You just never know. Like things change so quickly here, especially just like with us being moved around the past few years here. People would like come to us one day and then randomly the next day I'm like, oh, remember when I said we were here for the next 3 years? They just told us this morning we have to move. You just never know what's gonna happen. So it's hard to even say honestly until like the lease is signed, but even then they change things around on you. But once we open, hopefully we'll have a better idea in the next few weeks what's going on with that.
Yeah, that's like so important to be able to be so like flexible and just stay on your toes. Like business really does keep you on your toes.
Yeah, and it's scary because you invest so much money. Like every time we've moved in this mall, at least we have the same fixtures and inventory and stuff, but then we have to pay to repaint it. We have to reinstall everything on the walls. And if it's bigger or smaller, then you have to change around. You might have to get more fixtures. So it's a lot on us every time.
Totally.
And you don't really get compensated for that. That's just like part of the business that you have to just be prepared for.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really tough. So you have a lot of big brands that you sell in your store. Some that I adore and absolutely love. Like, tell me what it's like to kind of start working with those brands. Like, did you reach out to them? Like, what is that process like? And just kind of shout out some of the brands that you sell and that you enjoy.
Yeah, so we have a big mix in the store, but we have between like really big, well-known brands, some just like boutique brands. So unless you really shop in boutiques all the time, you won't know the brands because they only sell wholesale to boutiques. Yeah. But if you're a big boutique shopper, you might recognize some of like our denim brands or like a random shirt. You'll be like, oh, I get this one at another boutique. I know they're a great brand. So it's good that they can recognize those brands.
Yeah.
Other times we'll either have, like I said, our own designs and like loungewear and sweats and stuff, or we'll have some small local businesses, which is my absolute favorite. Yeah. It's just so different, honestly, having like these really big brands who have these big teams and could always fulfill these big, fast orders and whatever you need. And then other times there's local businesses, which are honestly the most special to me. I love to support other businesses, especially like local female-owned ones. But them, it might take a little bit longer to get in the stock, or they might not be able to keep up with as many orders. But I love working with different ones. So usually we try to like rotate out to who we have offering the store, just whoever can make us different inventory at that time, or whoever is like new in the area and I really connect with, because it again has to like match our brand and our mission. So it's not just gonna be any local brand. It's not gonna be like a random food brand if we don't really sell food in here. Yeah. It's gonna be this like different, like maybe like jewelry or accessories, just like little things like that. So some of the bigger brands that we do carry, we have Little Words Project is probably our number one seller. Actually, of any brand in the store, not just big brands. We have Boys Live. We have some Free People. We also have brands like Mayfair Group and stuff like that too. I absolutely love working with these big brands. It's really a good way to bring in new customers. Little Words Project does that for us so much because we're on their website too. So if you're in the area and you don't want to drive to like their store in Long Branch or pay for shipping online, they could just Google like on their website or whatever, just look for retailers and they'll search in the zip code and then they'll see it on Violet. And then if they check on our Instagram, they could tell we're actually one of like the biggest retailers for Little Words Project in the area. We went from this little 2-bar display to a massive wall display and then a full display of like 5 pedestals. We have so many bracelets. I can't even count, honestly. It was a big investment to kind of like move forward with them. My friend told me about them like a year or so before we started carrying them, but I haven't heard of them that much. I was like, oh, it's actually a really cute idea because they're based in New Jersey and I love just like the vision behind their brand and how like positive and motivating they were. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll do it. And then like a year later, I saw them at a trade show. I started talking to them and I actually like really connected with the people there. So I was like, you know what, let's just try it. And that's like probably the best thing I've ever done for this business, honestly, is connect with that brand because it's brought in so many people and not just like as customers, but I've connected with so many people who heard about the brand and then came in and then they met me and they met my brand and my employees. And we just got these new relationships and now they can come shop their favorite brand while supporting another small business. So that's so amazing for us. When I first started out the business too, it was hard to carry these big brands. Like I would reach out to brands, like I think I even reached out to Free People actually when we first started and they either ghosted me honestly or they would answer us back and be like, oh, well, what other brands do you carry or can you afford this minimum? Because some of these brands have like a minimum per month or per delivery and the smaller brands won't have anything like that. It's kind of just like, oh, you want to buy one shirt from us? You just have to buy this small pack of it and you're good to go. There's no opening order, nothing like that. But these big brands, it's like to open up an account with them, you might have to start like $1,000 to $5,000 just like right off the bat. Like they're like, you have to buy this much inventory. And then some of them, like a brand like Free People, might have like a monthly minimum that you have to pay for. So that's a little bit more of a commitment. But I'm glad that over time, like they were able to recognize that we were growing as a store and we had a storefront because you also need a storefront for a lot of these stores. They can't just be online. You can't be like running out of your house, which is how I started. A lot of people do it that way. It's in your garage or basement, but like they don't want it that way because they don't want everybody in the area carrying them. The good thing about the big brands is they are mostly territory protected too. So if anybody else in the small wanted to carry a brand like Little Words Project, they can't. So everybody's going to come to us for it too. So that is a good thing too, to keep growing your brand and your connection with them. But it's been overall really great just to kind of meet the different sales reps and the people that represent those companies because they sound like these big massive companies, but when you start to connect with the people who are actually like selling wholesale to you, they're actually like real people and lovely people. Again, going back to Little Words Project because I rave about them. They're actually like the best brand, sales reps, anything that I've ever worked with. Like I couldn't have thought of a better brand that we could bring into the store that shares the same values as us. And just the customers, when they come in, they want to know about the brand too. If they've never learned about it, I love telling people about a brand like that because there's just so much you would say about it. Other people come in, they're like, oh my God, the creator of the brand, she went to my sorority at like TCNJ. It's crazy that you could like connect with these people. Or they'll come in, they're like, oh my gosh, I interned for them when they were first starting. And now to see how crazy a brand like that has grown and they're everywhere now, all across the country.
Such an inspiration.
All over social media. So it's so great to have big brands like that bringing in some customers too, but at the same time I'm able to work with a lot smaller brands and local businesses, and when people come in to look at those big brands, they're like, oh my God, this person's from my hometown and just stuff like that, and then they can learn about the brand and I'm helping them grow too. It's the best part, is giving back to other businesses if I could team up with them too.
That's incredible. So we have some rapid fire questions.
Oh boy.
I don't know if you've watched our previous episodes, but we kind of do this because we feel like it's fun. We did not send you. We did not send you the questions. You want to say them this time? You have them up? Okay. And just say whatever comes to your mind.
I'm getting nervous now.
And as quickly as possible.
Okay. Yeah, it might be hard.
What is the most popular brand in your store right now?
Little Words Project. That one's easy.
Pork roll or Taylor ham?
Pork roll. I don't eat either, but it's pork roll.
What's your favorite item in the store?
Ooh. Okay, I gotta go with the smiley slippers. They're so comfortable.
Nice. If you could open a third store anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I think Las Vegas. I have family out there too, so I would definitely go there.
Very nice.
Give us an underrated spot to eat in New Jersey.
Ooh, underrated. Wait, that's hard. I'm trying to think. Okay, now this is a really hard question.
You're good.
We can edit, don't worry.
Okay, I need to think about this one for a second.
Or maybe like a favorite local spot.
Okay, I'll go with my favorite local spot because there's a lot of chain restaurants, especially working in the mall. Like I'm getting Chick-fil-A every day. Yeah. But besides that, my weakness is crispy pizza.
Okay.
So good. Okay. They're amazing. They have locations like Freehold, Old Bridge, a couple of them. Their chicken parm pizza, delicious. Go there.
Nice. Such good pizza.
Give us a song that best captures the vibe of your store.
Okay. I definitely have to go with the Taylor Swift song, but I got to think about this one too.
T-Swift.
It's got to be. If anybody knows anything about our store, the biggest Swifties, like, oh my God.
Her new album in April.
So, my mouth was on the floor.
Me too.
So I'm already thinking about like the merch we're going to design. Now I'm getting off track. Oh my God. I feel like it's got to be, why do I feel like it's something from 1989 though? Okay, wait, this is really hard. Okay, no, I'm gonna lie. That's not 1989. I think we're gonna go with Cruel Summer. I don't know what it is. It's the vibe of it. I think it's just the vibe. Like, there's no specific lyrics that are like, that's on Violet. It's just, and we also, I mean, not gonna lie, we have like a best-selling sweatshirt that's like, it literally says, devils roll the dice, angels roll their eyes. It's so cute, but just, I don't know. That song probably plays every day here anyway, so I think it's an on-Violet song.
Very nice.
What's your favorite beach in New Jersey?
Belmar, I think.
Worst fashion trend that you have ever embraced?
Ooh, that's a rough one. I gotta think, because there's definitely a bunch. So I gotta think about what's a good one. Because just like this store, when I try to get things that are really out there, sometimes they're really out there, and sometimes by the time they come in, I'm like, why did I get this? Okay.
Or even like growing up.
Oh, growing up too. I was actually talking about this earlier. I was going to tell you guys this too, and I totally forgot to mention it. So why don't we just plug it now? This little joke we have too that I don't tell people and I just randomly thought of. One of the things that randomly got me into fashion, when I was a freshman in high school, I really liked the show Project Runway. Did anybody ever see Project Runway Junior? I don't know if you're ever familiar with it. So it was like the kid version of it. After the first season came out, I was like, you know what? I think I could do that. So I tried teaching myself how to sew. Yeah, not the best. I made, looking back, probably the ugliest things you could ever design. Not cute. Although it was the time of like the new Cinderella live action coming out. So I made this really cool long blue mesh tulle like skirt that actually lit up. I installed lights on it. It was really sick. And I submitted myself for the show just thinking nothing would come of it. I made it to the semifinals of casting. So I actually had to miss school, sign contracts and stuff. It was like, you can't tell anybody for the next few years. I told some of my friends though. And then we went to New York. They were actually filming me. They like give you like a character when you go on these reality shows. They're like, you're going to be the jack of all trades. So you're like the cheer captain, you have all these passions, and you're just gonna become a fashion designer. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I made all these designs. They are so hideous looking back at them, so ugly. And I literally went, they were like, when you go out there, do a backflip. I think I did a cartwheel. I talked to the judges. I showed them my designs. I walked out of there after seeing what other people made. I'm like, this is so ugly. I'm never getting on the show. So I got really close. They put me in all like the tapes and stuff, but when they picked the final cast, I was cut. Whatever. No. But one of the things, it just reminded me of this, because one of the things I designed, it was like this kind of reversible shirt. So the back of it was just like a white ribbed shirt, and the front was like this weird navy blue chevron pattern. I'm not a chevron girly. I'm sorry if you still are. That's not my vibe. That's one of those trends that I can just never get back on board with, because people are trying to bring it back now, like the peplum tops and stuff like that. That was something that I loved growing up, like middle school. The peplum tops, like those like tribal print like flare pants and stuff. I just can't get back on that vibe. I don't think I can do it, honestly. I'm more for like neutrals now.
Yeah, and I feel like the younger generation dresses so well.
Yes, they do.
And I'm like, they are not going through what we went through when we were young. Like,
they need like the trauma.
I know. I'm like, you guys are look like grown adults, like teenagers. I'm like, this is not fair.
It is actually crazy to look back at like what I used to wear. Even recently, I'll still look back. I'm like, why did I wear that last year? Like, that's so ugly. But looking back at what I wore in middle school, people used to call me Boots, actually. Like, people don't know where that nickname came from. It's still like probably my Snapchat username, like something with Boots. And they're like, where is that from? All of 6th grade, probably also 7th grade, I would always wear, like, I don't even think it was real Uggs. It was probably like Bear Paws or like knockoff boots. I would wear boots with everything. It doesn't matter if it was a dress. I would wear shorts in the summer with boots. And my teachers would be like, what are you wearing? I'm like, you don't understand the trends. But it wasn't a trend. It was just ugly. But I wore the boots with shorts all the time. And I'm still a boot girly, but like, that's where I got that nickname from. But now I see these middle schoolers, because I go back and volunteer and coach at my middle school. And I see these kids walking in, or like a lot of them buy from my store too. I'm like, why do you look so good when I looked disgusting in middle school, honestly? Like, I understand why we went through such tough times in like 7th grade. I feel like that was the worst time for a lot of people. Like, what was I wearing?
I know.
I don't know how. I think it's a lot to do with social media again.
Totally.
Like, they just know the trends
They're
so quickly now.
influenced, yeah.
I wish I had that.
I know. Seriously.
What's your favorite designer brand?
Okay. I feel like I'm kind of a Dior girly right now, honestly. Not that I can like really afford all that stuff. Again, misconception with boutique owners. We're not rich out there buying all designer stuff, but like appreciating designs right now, I think they're doing really good. And for not even like as high end designer things, one of the brands that I think has been doing really good with their rebranding has been Coach.
Yes, I was gonna say
Their
that.
bags and everything
I
right
know.
now. Because growing up, liked Coach. I would go to like the outlets, especially because there are a lot of outlets around here. I'd have the Coach wristlet and stuff like that. And then as I got to like middle school, high school, college, I was like, that's not cool anymore. Like, I don't want the monogram
Their
Coach. They're not
rebrand
cool.
is insane.
Now I love them.
Yeah,
All the
I
stuff they're
think-
coming out with.
Yeah, I think the guy who's now the like designer for it came from like a different luxury brand. I don't know if it
Yeah.
was Louis or like one of the other ones, but you could totally see how he's like transforming
Yes,
the brand.
everything is so cute there. I want to buy everything there now. And it is a
Yeah.
better price point than some of the
Yeah,
other luxury
it
brands.
is.
So I like them. I support it.
Totally. Was that the last one? You have one more. Oh, okay.
What's the goal you have for this year?
I'm really hoping to be able to keep both stores open, hopefully. And if not just that, expand at least in the one store, really test it out. Again, it's more trial and error. You don't know if it's going to fail. We had that happen one time. If it happens again, it happens again. That's just business and that's just life. I'm glad I'm still young and like testing out things. I don't have like a family or house to worry about yet, so I could kind of test these things out and know where I'm going to succeed. But I'm hoping that just overall we could keep growing the brand, even if it's not like storefront wise. Hopefully on social media or just word of mouth. I want more people to know about the brand and fall in love with it, no matter what we're doing. I'm going to rebrand it a little bit, hopefully over the next few months. Not like a full rebrand, but just while opening these new stores, just kind of change the direction we're going with still keeping that original kind of vision for it. But I'm just hoping that more people really understand the brand and get to meet me and know me and fall in love with it, hopefully like I have.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And, what's your favorite place to shop other than on Violet?
Okay, well, overall, I could live in like a Target or a Marshalls, honestly, whether it's clothes or anything else. I just on my free time will go there. But even places like that like have really stepped up their game with fashion, I feel like, and usually at a good price, because they're supposed to be more like a place like Marshalls or TJ Maxx. It's supposed to be more overstock, but a lot of times you could find like really good brands in there for a more affordable price. So I love going in there. I love shopping at other boutiques. It's not one of those things where I feel like when I first started, it was like, why would I shop at another boutique? Because not like that it's competition, but like if I can get that for a wholesale price, why am I paying full price somewhere else? But my views have changed on that. Like I'm supporting another small business, which is great, but also like I'm not going to order the exact same things as them. I'm not going to buy it somewhere else. So it's nice to support there, but also like it's just another person and company that you could support, and they just have different things. I'm not going to have the exact same thing. So I like to shop. I went to, for the first time the other day in Point Pleasant, I went to Sunshine Daydream. Fell in love with their store. Super cute.
Jersey Girl just told us about that
Yes,
place.
they were really
Yeah.
cute. I went in there, loved the vibe in there. There's a bunch I go to. Sandpepper in our mall, the owner there is super sweet. I love boutiques like that. But I also just love other stores just like H&M, Zara, Aritzia, Abercrombie, just stores like that where you could find good basics that you can wear for pretty much any occasion. I love to stock up on, so that's really nice. I love shopping there too.
Very cool. And just as like a closing question, what is like any piece of advice you have for like a young entrepreneur, anyone that was it like think back to like young Morgan when she was like thinking about starting her store, like what advice do you have for someone that wants to own a business?
It is not going to be easy at all. Nobody said it was. If you thought it was, it's not going to be easy, but it's overall going to be so worth it. And like I've kind of been trying to push today, just don't compare yourself to others. You can't keep thinking about how similar somebody's going to be to you or negative thoughts that somebody might have. If there's one person who doesn't like your vibe, there's going to be a million other who's going to really love it. And you're the only person who's you. There's only one you in this world. And no matter how close somebody can get to your brand, if you really just follow what you enjoy and what you love and really just keep promoting that and trying to grow your own brand, there's never ever going to be somebody like it. And the other people who will support that brand will come along. You don't have to find people who are going to support your brand. If you just do your thing, the right people will come along for you.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's so great. Where can everyone find you? Website, Instagram, your locations, everything.
So on Violet, you could find us on Instagram at Shop on Violet. We also have a Facebook that's on Violet, but we post more heavily on Instagram and TikTok. Our TikTok is on Violet. People come in all the time and are like, are you the TikTok girl? Because I just post on there all the time. And then my Instagram too is Morgan Dias if you ever want to see some behind the scenes from different trade shows, but we usually post that on the store Instagram. And then our website is just shoponviolet.com. onviolet.com. But most of our new arrivals are going to be in store. So definitely try to visit us in store or visit our social media. You could always message us and ask about things that aren't on the website so we can get them right to you. And then we're in the Freehold Raceway Mall currently too. Hopefully we'll be staying here also. And we'll also be in Menlo Park Mall, hopefully opening around like early March.
Awesome.
That's so exciting.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for having us in your store and
Thank you
letting
for
us
having
kind
me.
of pick your brain a little bit. It was a lot of fun to hear your story.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.